Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to Richard Skipper Celebrates. This is the show in which I celebrate artists and their body of worth. Before we start today's show, a couple of things that I'd like to point out. It's been 224 days since our theaters have shut down in New York, and that means the heartline of the entertainment industry right here in New York is flatlining. But we will come back, and we will come back bigger and brighter and better than ever. I'm convinced of that. And I believe if we all put out that positive energy and put out that collective consciousness, we can all make it happen. I also want to take a moment to remember the one and only Marge Champion. She passed away yesterday afternoon at the age of 101. I got a chance to meet Marge many times. We were very dear friends. And last year at Carol Channing's memorial, I took a drive to Los Angeles and I spent the afternoon with Marge Champion. And she was bright and wonderful, and it was great to see her again. And today I'm not mourning her passing. I'm celebrating her legacy. 101. God bless her. God bless you, Marge Champion. I was lucky to have you in my life. And I'm also lucky to have our special guest today. I've talked a lot about Carol Channing. She was a dear friend of mine. And one of the things that she always used to tell me is there is a difference between entertainers and performers. Think about this for a moment. A seal is a performer. A seal is only interested in getting a fish. It will balance a ball on its nose. It will flip its fins. It will do whatever it can to get that fish. An entertainer, on the other hand, is not thinking about themselves. They are thinking about the audience. It's always about the audience. And that's what separates an incredible entertainer from a good performer. And I am very lucky because we have an incredible entertainer here today. This is Peter. How are you, Peter?
Richard, it's good to see you. That's a great intro.
Well, you and I, we've never met. What? Why?
I don't know. And we know a lot of the same people. We've been through some of the same circles, and I don't know. I just don't know. But I mean, we connected through Facebook. Thank goodness for that.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
And thank God that we can continue to connect through COVID and this pandemic, which I know has affected you tremendously and myself as well with the profession that we're in.
I just can't believe you said the name of the days of how long it's been. But yeah, it's over 7 months, right? Yeah.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't. But I mean, yeah. We are finding ways to reinvent ourselves.
That's absolutely right. I always say, and I've said, and I keep repeating myself, but I think all entertainers now who are doing anything streaming or social media or anything, we are really putting it out there that we have such a greater appreciation for the lighting designers and the sound mixers and all those people who help make our shows work. Now, before we delve into your life and career, I want to ask you, how are you doing really in the midst of this crazy time that we're in?
Well, I've been creative. I've been in the business a long time, but I was born with a gift, thank goodness. But I have other things I do just besides, performing. I've worked as a product specialist, working the auto shows. Did that for almost 19 years, presenting cars, emceeing and hosting things. I run a singing telegram service out of my home called Singagram.
I used to do singing telegrams.
I think we did talk about that on the phone once.
Yeah, I worked for a company called Eastern Onion.
Yes.
Eastern Onion, Western Union.
Yeah.
Are singing telegrams still popular down here?
They are, believe it or not. But people still go, "What is that?" Or is that? When I tell them, sometimes I use now it's like from beaches or something. You know what I mean? The same from beaches. It just comes to the door. The rabbit. And they go, well, what does it do? And I said, well, it consists of different characters, balloons, happy birthday, anniversary. I've done divorces. I've done them everywhere, though, from restaurants to bathrooms to homes to office spaces, all sorts of places I've been. And you end up driving to the location, dressing your car, if you have no place to dress, so bam, and you're out the door and you deliver the telegram or the message. But it's been a fun side business. I've had it almost 20 years. So
it's one aspect of my life. It was in the 1980s. I was in my 20s, and I was signed up with about 5 singing telegram companies. So someday I want to have you back here, and we will talk only about that industry, because I could go. I'm sure we both have war stories.
I have costumes. We'll travel. Yeah.
What is the most bizarre thing that happened to you as doing singing telegrams?
Doing a not bizarre. I don't know if bizarre was. It was touching. Trying to get a couple back together again. That was interesting. And I think I forgot what the song was, but
breaking up is hard to do.
No. Yeah.
Did you succeed? Did you get them back together?
I guess they were in a big dispute, a big argument. She did accept the flowers, and she did accept the song. I don't know what happened after that, but it seemed to go well. But that was a touching moment for me, because usually it's like, high energy. Hey, happy birthday, a chicken costume, a gorilla, whatever. I have a hairy fairy costume. They're all on my website, which is, by the way, petervincent.net. So, but those are some of the. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else really strange. But I said, like getting dressed in small places, or delivering them at the middle of a restaurant while people are eating, where you really have to just walk in and just take over the place, which I have no problem doing. So, but I don't know. As I said, it's been a good side business to have, something fun to do, and it's basically, it's cash on hand, so.
Well, I want to go back. I did mention it's been 224 days since the theater shut down. What was your schedule like when this happened? Because
I had a couple gigs with the orchestras coming up, because I perform with some of the symphonies here in town. So those were canceled. So then I thought, okay, well, what else is going to be canceled? What else are we looking at here? Let's look at the calendar.
Did you anticipate when this all began to happen that it would even go on this long?
No, I never thought that. No, no, I just thought, and I definitely took it seriously. But a lot of people were, everybody's paranoia level is different. So mine was a little more, I was out biking, blading, enjoying the sun. I live in Florida, of course. So I went to Universal Studios a week after they opened up. It wasn't busy at all. So I went up there and played because I have a yearly pass. So I did things like that. I went to Disney. So I did some things that people probably wouldn't do. You know what I mean? So, but I followed all the protocols, like and wearing the mask, and everything was well organized and very clean and neat. So, but no, I didn't think it would go this long, and I didn't think that we'd still be sitting here talking about it, 7 months later. So.
Now, you mentioned that you live in Florida. Wilton Manors, I think, is where you live. One of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah. You must come visit. You and your other half must come and visit sometime.
I would love that. And when you can do that, we'll come back. But are you originally from Florida?
No. I was adopted. I was born in Italy, in Carbonia and Sardinia. And I was adopted when I was 2 years old through a German and Irish family. And I grew up in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Talking about
that's a big change. So from Ohio, then I did my schooling in Ohio, and then I went to I ended up getting a job. I met a producer director who ran a small theater in Rockford, Illinois called the Clock Tower, and it's not there anymore. He took me under his wing, and I got involved with the dinner theater there. And then he took me to Chicago, because I hadn't been to Chicago. And I thought, wow, this is a great city. I'd love to live here. Yeah, it's a lot happening. There's commercial film work and there's theater. So I ended up, after I was done with the Knit Theater, the season there, I moved to Chicago and started doing some work in Chicago. I did a lot of cabaret stuff, and I got to work at a television show with Craig T. Nelson called what was it called? It was a police story. can't remember the name right now, but anyway, that was one thing. And so, I mean, I was getting work on and off, and I was working as an aerobics instructor. Back then it was all the high impact aerobics stuff. It was great for the knees. So being a tapper, that really helped too. Anyway, so but you know how it is in the business. You have to, you got to find different things to do. I wish you could rely on one thing.
That's the duck is coming down. The word for the day is adapt.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to talk about your parents. Or were either of your parents in the business? What kind of music did you listen to? Were you exposed to the arts as a young boy growing up?
Well, okay, no, they weren't in the business. My father had a nice voice. He would hum and sing stuff. He'd sing us a lullaby. He'd sing "Tura lura lura, tura lura lie, tura lura lura." He wasn't even Irish, but my mother was Irish. She was Methodist, and father was Catholic. And I was a family of 3 other children. I was the oldest. 2 others were all 3 adopted. One was from Canada, and one was from Germany. They, well, as a kid, I always knew I was different. So I lived in a nice suburb area in Columbus, Ohio, and we had a nice backyard with a swing set. I could watch Funny Girl on television when I was, I don't know how old, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I would literally memorize the songs. I could go out to the swing set and swing and just sing the top of my lungs the songs. I'd have the whole orchestration in my head. I mean, that's just how I was. I just could pick that stuff up. Years later, I got one of those small little tape recorders, the little reel-to-reel. So I would record, I didn't have the album, I would record with the little microphone, on the cord, and record some of the stuff, and take it out there and sing with Barbara, I was a big Barbara fan. So
I'm a product of 1960s and 70s television. And I also had my little tape recorder, and I would sit in front of the TV and I would record the variety shows. I would record all the specials on, and I had all these cassettes. And the weird, bizarre thing about this is, as you're telling this story, this is a universal story for so many young men, mostly, that came up during that era.
Yeah. I didn't know what else, but I didn't know how else to soak it in and what to do. And that's what was my way of doing it and figuring out, and then just, I went in my own little world with that type of stuff, and just sing. And finally, of course, I got some vinyl, I mean, we had a record player, but I never thought of going out to buying those albums. And my parents weren't in the business, and they really didn't know, but they knew that I had a gift. So they sent me to the Columbus Junior Theater of Arts in Columbus, Ohio. So I did some theater work there, little bits in there. And then I loved puppetry. I have a fascination with marionettes and puppets. So I got involved in working the puppets with the puppet industry there with them. And then at 11 years old, there was a boy choir school called the Columbus Boy Choir. They since are now called the American Boy Choir, and they're in New Jersey. But I think they're folded right now, so they don't have the support. They folded like a year or so ago. I think right now they're trying to get back together again. But they're called the American Boy Choir. So they had me audition at some church, and it's the first time I really sung in front of my parents, because I never sang in front of them. They knew I sang because they could hear me out the window, I mean, on the swing set. And the song that I sang was "Climb Every Mountain." So I guess I nailed it, because they pulled my parents aside and they wanted me in the choir. So,
and about how old were you at this time?
I was 11.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 years old. So, so I was sent on a train, private car, one of those little sleeper things. That's how they sent me to New Jersey, and it was in Trenton, New Jersey, I think it is. Yeah, it's the Lambert Mansion. It's a beautiful home, very big. That's where the schooling was. And so I spent 2 different seasons with that, and toured all over the US and Canada. And we sang things like, the Penderecki, Handel's Messiah. I mean, worked with Eugene Ormandy and the Philharmonic, and did big things. All the Night Visitors. Um, Gilbert and Sullivan, The Bride of Seville. Well, I played one of the females, and when it came to Columbus, Ohio, we did the production there. Oh, my mom had a fit because I was dressed in drag, and she didn't like that, and I had fun with it. I loved it. So I played all the women. So needless to say, so things just sort of led from there, and but it took a while to find myself. And going on Catholic, it was sort of a, everything was a no-no. So
everything.
You get the guilt trip,
Yes. But have you ever thought where this bug comes from? I mean, I'm the oldest of four. I grew up in South Carolina. No one in my family tree is any interest in entertainment. It's something that's out there. It's not something that they gravitate towards. And I've often wondered, what it was for me that created that spark inside of myself. Have you ever thought about that? Do you know anything about your biological parents?
No, I know that she wasn't married. She was very young, and to be in Italy and Catholic and very young and be pregnant, that probably was a big no-no.
Mm-hmm.
So she had to give me up because she probably couldn't afford me. If I was still in Italy, I probably would have been singing anyway. I mean, I know I just had a gift and I had that passion for it. But no, I've since been I entertained on cruise ships for years with my own show, my own cabaret show. So I traveled around the world, and I've been to Italy, and I actually went to where I was born, tried to do some research and find her. So I went to the Italian embassy, took all my paperwork in. My friend who was with me, he speaks Italian, so he took care of all the dialogue. So we gave him all the information. I guess for the Catholic diocese, it's kept in a sealed envelope or whatever. So it's up to the Catholic or to the Italian embassy to contact her, and then it's up to her if she wanted to contact me. But I never heard back. But I did put it out there just in case. I thought I might as well try, and but I never heard anything. So.
Now, when you were traveling with the choir, even at 11 years old, did you know at that point that this was the life that you wanted to lead? Or was there a defining moment that said, that's it, this is what I'm going to do?
I knew that I loved it. I loved performing, and I knew I loved to sing, and I loved the theater. I loved an audience. And I knew I was good with an audience, like you said in your big intro, it is all about the audience, and I love being able to get the feedback, which we all miss right now, of course. But I don't know what's a defining moment, but as I got older, I went to high school and did community theater, and then started doing professional stuff, and then, getting some more commercial film work and things like that. Then when I worked on the cruise ships, I started off as a DJ because I was DJing for the Hyatt hotels in Chicago. That was one of my side jobs, And then I saw these acts that would come on, and I go, well, I could do that, I love these acts that come on. I go, I could do that, So I talked to the acts, and tried to get information out of them, the agents, the charts, working on material, blah blah blah. So I just started while I was on the ship, putting my show together. That's what I did. And bam, within years, I don't know how many years it wasn't too long. I got hired. I was working for Royal Caribbean, and one of the cruise directors, Jim Murray, I'll never forget him. He's the one that pushed for me to work as a solo act, because I would do a lot of the welcome aboard shows and farewell shows and do numbers, and back then the cruise staff performed a lot. So we did a lot of stuff, which was great. And you're working with sometimes, well, it used to be 5 or 10 pieces, then 12, then he brought it back down, to maybe 7. But anyway, I'd get the charts done, I'd work on material, piece it all together, and I finally got hired an actor. That was defining for me, because I thought, oh, I found something that I really love doing, and this is me, and I can control what I want to do and the material that I want to do, and how I want to do it. And that was one defining moment for me.
Take us back to that moment when you did your first big solo show on the cruise ship, and you worked with an orchestra.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was probably 10 pieces back then. No, I'm to take that back. Sorry. It was 5 or 6, and I have it on reel to reel. In fact, if you look right there, that was given to me as a gift last year through some girlfriends of mine. Well, that is my live CD that they made into a gold album.
wow.
And the very top one is my cassette, and then some of my other albums. That cassette one is on reel to reel, but that was my very first act, as a solo act.
And did everything go, if you'll pardon the pun, smooth sailing, from the very beginning?
Oh yeah. It was easy. I just slide. It's like a home run.
Now,
great. And I felt good.
I've also had lines in Vegas and Atlantic City, and the first time that I was booked in Atlantic City, our show was to tracks, and I absolutely hated it. And I made up my mind that I would never do that again. And interestingly enough, I was asked to do a second show, and believe it or not, it was at Trump's Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. Wow. I did 2 long-running shows there. Wow. And so when they asked me to come back, I had a little leverage. So I said, only if I have a band. And I got the band.
Good for you. Yeah.
But do you work with tracks at all? And is it
I was just going to go into that too, because I love it live. Nothing like live, especially now that I get to work with orchestras, because I had all those charts that I had done back on the ships. I had a guy named Peter Graves. He's wonderful. I don't know if you know him. He's worked with a lot of celebrities and done a lot of great arrangements. He expanded the charts that I'm using nowadays for 50-piece orchestras.
Wow.
So it's great to have that material. But to answer your question, yes, I love it live, but there are plenty of gigs that I've done for the nursing homes, assisted living, whatever it is, where it's all tracked. Years ago, when I did the whole condo circuit, the Century Villages here.
I've done them too.
You've done them. Yeah, I've probably seen your picture on the wall. My pictures are too, but yeah, it used to be live, as you know. It used to be 3 or 4 or 5 pieces. And of course, once they started cutting the budget down and this and that, then it's tracked. So now I have what's called a passport fender system. It's on our 150 watt system. It folds right up. It carries. You can walk right in with it, undo it. My whole show is on the phone. You pop your phone into the system, bam, and there's your show.
I want to say I am so impressed that you're able to do that. And I have friends that do this. I have a friend that was a MAC, that's the Manhattan Association of Cabarets and Clubs award winner. And she left that business. She is in her 80s and she is self-contained. And she was performing in nursing homes and libraries and traveling everywhere. And she is as happy as a clam doing all this. But when did you, how did you get your first agent and your first manager? And when did the jobs and gigs start coming forward for you?
Well, after ships, because I did ships for a long time, especially as an act. But then they started, once again, little budget cuts. First of all, with the orchestra pieces, from maybe 12 down to 10 or 9 or 7. And then also adding tracks, to the shows, the review shows and stuff. So unless you're like, a big name, a celebrity, I've worked with a lot of them on the ships, like, Charo and Phyllis Diller and, people like that, Barry Wilson. Unless you have a big name, they weren't booking a lot of singers. If you were a juggler, a comedian, or a magic act, you're pretty well set. You can still be working. But they don't bring on singers like me, per se, as much anymore. So once that stopped, coming in as much of the work, then I had to, do some, once again, sort of rethink, things. And okay, so now we'll do some more self-contained shows on land, and we'll go out and audition for some commercial work or some film work or, whatever it is. I was the artistic director for a big theme park called Wanadu City in Sawgrass Mills. It's not there anymore. And that was an awesome job because I got to, it was a, have you ever heard of it? No?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It was a big, literally a town for children. So it had a circus, the Ringling Brothers. It had CNN, Cartoon Network. We had an animal clinic. We had a hospital there. You had a fire department and everything. These kids would want to do bucks, and they take that and they spend that. They learn how to to spend their money, and go do different things. But I was the one who organized all the parades, all the decorations, everything. And I love that. That was a great gig. So that was one thing I did. And then, meanwhile, you're still doing a little performance stuff on the side, whether it's the assisted living homes or whatever it is. And then out auditioning for stuff. But and then I don't remember when I got my first agent. I mean, I have numerous agents for different things, for the condo stuff or for, there's different smaller agents that book like the assisted living and things like that. So, but I do have one agent that does, commercial, and I'm now, pushing to get some voiceover work. So, I've been working up, put my own little studio together in my home. So now I can literally, for less than $250, a friend of mine helped me set it up. I have the mic, the headsets, and everything. I plug into GarageBand and my computer, and bam, it sounds very professional.
So it's been a while since you first began with the cruise ships and everything. Do you still do cruise ships?
No, I haven't done ships in a while. No, it's been since 2003, I think it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excluding
I started in 1986.
Oh, wow.
June 23rd, I'll forget it. 1986, I picked up the Sun Viking and Royal Caribbean, and that ship seated 750 passengers. And to me, that was my first ship, and that was a big ship. But you could see where the industry's gone from then. I mean, now they hold more than 5,000 passengers.
I know, it's amazing.
But
I'm going to ask
when you're on those stages performing, the technology is awesome.
Excluding what we've already covered, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the cruise ship industry? And I'm interested to know from your perspective what you like most about the changes, and what you like least about the changes, and what you would like to see it flip back to.
The intimacy of the smaller ships, which was nice. I love the bigger ships for the stage, the lighting, and the sound, and the pieces that you get to work with, orchestra pieces. What else? You asked me something, the third thing. What was it?
What you liked most, what you liked least, and what you would like to go back to.
I like the variety of the big ships, but I miss the intimacy. I am still very, very good friends with many people, especially in Florida, that we all work ships together. And we all still get together quite often, parties and events. And, I held a big 60th birthday bash a couple of years ago, and tons of people flew in from all the cruise ship industry and came to party with me. It was like, a lot of them are entertainers. So it was like, mega entertainment stuff, in a big warehouse with a band called Private Stock that worked on the ships, and it was his space. And they played. And so, our camaraderie is really good. I made some very good friends with that. And also with the auto industry. I'm still good friends with a lot of people from the auto industry, working that many years, working with the cars. But again, on the big ships, you have a variety of more entertainment. Or lounges, the piano lounge. You've got a jazz place. You've got a cigar place. Are
ships still booking major acts as much as they used to? Or they got away from
Yes, they do book acts, but not singers per se, like me. They'll double up sometimes the review cast. Maybe have one of those pull those for maybe if they need to do something, a few numbers here or there. But basically, it's a lot of jugglers, comedians, and magic. Is what they're doing. So there are a few that do, sing, and entertain, but not as many, not like it used to be. No.
Now, of course, you are a headliner yourself, but you also have the distinction of having opened for a lot of stars.
Yeah.
Who was the first star that you opened for, and how did that come about?
I'd have to say Phyllis Diller. Yeah. And she was really nice. I'd be backstage with her, talk to her all the time, and it's nice. It's nice when celebrities remember your name, call you by your name, because maybe I wouldn't see her for another 6 or 7 months or something. Mary Wilson, she was a lot of fun. She's a party girl. She was fun. Who else? Those two stick out. I'd have to say. The most in there. Diahann Carroll was lovely. And Eartha Kitt. Oh my God, it was so funny. What a quick little story is. I was up in the gym working out in the afternoon because I had a show that evening, and of course so did she, because I was opening up for her. So she's right next to me on the treadmill. I didn't know who she was. I'm just talking to her, talking away. And then all of a sudden it hit me as I'm leaving. And I said, "Oh, you're the kid, right?" I said, "I'm opening up for you tonight. I'm Peter Vincent."
And you had never met.
But she was really sweet. Her material was so. She did things that I've never even heard songs, and I know a lot of material like you do. But she did songs that I've never even heard of, which was very interesting. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see one of her final performances when she was at the Carlisle here in New York. And I'll never forget, I was sitting next to my husband, Danny, and she walked out into the audience and she grabbed him and kissed him right on the lips. And I was so jealous.
Oh my God. You know, speaking of which, you just mentioned the Carlisle. I never got to see Bobby Short. And I love him because every time that I milk a ballad, people go, you know, you sound like the old school. And I said, yes, you're going to tell me Bobby Short. And they go, yes. I go, I take it as a compliment. I never got to see him. I'm sure you did. So,
well, I never saw him perform live, but I won the Bistro Award in 1998, and he won the same night. So we were in the buffet line together.
Oh my gosh.
And we sat at the same table, and he was just the most wonderful, giving person. And it's been my experience in this business that, I've been very, very fortunate. I have interviewed so many people. I've interviewed people who are some of the biggest names in show business, to people who were just starting out. And everybody is pretty much across the board. We're all fighting for the same things.
Yeah.
We all want the same things. We've all struggled the same way. Yeah. We've all gone the same way. And it's been my experience that most of these celebrities that have reached that success, they don't forget where they've come from.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Richard, you bring out the best in everybody. Well, I really do enjoy you. And I don't know how many times you get to hear that, but I really do enjoy your
Well, I appreciate that. It's the guests that bring it out in me. I just enjoy, and I love this business so much.
I know.
And as I say, it's all about the body of worth and how you got from point A to point B and everything. You've also done the Condo circuit down in Florida. I've done the Villages and all of that
since '91. Yeah, I've done it for a lot of years. Every other year. Yeah, do the whole
for artists that are watching, I mean, the pandemic is not going to last forever, God willing, and we will get back to this. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the Condo circuit? And if you can describe to those who don't know what the Condo circuit is.
Well, the retirement center is big. Retirement centers, a lot of them, with big theaters. So they, back in the day, as you know, they brought in a lot of big names. I mean,
yes.
Like what? Yeah, I think you did think out of Pat Rack. I think even Sammy Davis and Dean Martin. I mean, Frank. I mean, they've all played those places. Mm-hmm. And back then, they brought their orchestras with them. Because there's plenty of room on those stages for that. But I miss the live. Miss the live stuff. But it's they're very warm and audience, they're always, usually with you when they're not walking out on walkers, but on you, but they gotta go to the bathroom. Marge, we're over here.
I know.
Over here, darling.
Have you ever done the casinos? Have you ever performed in the casino?
Only in a small venue in, was it Atlantic
right
City? Yeah, I can't remember the name of the place. It was this one. It was a small event, but no, I haven't done the big.
Years ago, I mean, the first show that I did at the Taj Mahal was with Pudgy. Do you remember Pudgy?
Yes.
And, oh my God, I miss her every day. And Pudgy said to me before I walked out for the first show, she says, if you can perform in a casino, you can perform anywhere, because the audience they're thinking about how much money they just lost, or how much money,
right,
or how much money they may win when the show is over.
Yeah, there you go.
So your focus is not really on the show as much as it is as to what's going to happen. And the interesting thing about working in the casinos is that they're gauging how much money is spent before and after a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that really, some of the biggest names out there don't bring that audience in who are going to gamble. Like Patti LaBelle She was at the Taj Mahal the same time that I was there. And I love, love, love her. But she has an audience that follows her around the country. They're not there to gamble. They come in to see her, and they don't really spend a lot of money.
Right.
She's Patti LaBelle. She can get away with it.
Of course. She can get her pies. What's that pie that she makes with her cake that sells so well?
Well, she makes banana pudding. That's or pudding, as they say. Yeah.
Remember, it's a sweet potato pie or something.
Yes.
Yeah, really big on the internet. Yeah, but yeah.
Now, out of all of the genres that you've performed in, do you have a favorite?
Well, right now it would be with working with the orchestras. Yeah, because I mean, I love that power behind you. You know, when you hear the strings come in, and it's just, I don't care in rehearsals or even in the show. I still get goosebumps. You know, when I hear the music playing in the arrangement like I wanted, you know, in my head, like Back to the Kid. I know what it sounds like. I know what I want, you know. So, you know, I mean, I always work with the writer, you know, when I'm doing the arrangements, you know. I sometimes I try to put some nice medleys together too, you know, that flow together with, you know, one song to the next. And
now, do you perform with symphony orchestras all over the country, or are they?
No, just in Florida right now. No, just in Florida. I'd love to.
And how did that begin for you?
A friend of mine, James, was working with a couple of the symphonies here in town, and I just had to ask him one day. I said, "Well, hey," I said, "So, what does it take?" You know, he already knows what I do. You know, he's a great tenor, beautiful tenor voice, and I said, "Well, what would it take for me to do?" So he introduced me to the conductor and the writer, Peter Graves, and I contacted Peter, and one thing led to another, and Peter gave me a shot. He expanded a couple charts of mine and threw me in a show as a quick spot for something, like what I did, like what I had. I mean, he'd already seen my video work, but, you know, he wanted to see it in person. So, and then from then, I just had the rest of my charts expanded, and I've been doing 45, 50-minute shows. You know?
Well, you said that you asked him, what does it take? What does it take to, I mean, the obvious things we know, but what does it take to really break into that market and to be able to do the symphony orchestras? And how much creative control do you have over the material that you're going to do in the show?
Basically all of it, because it's my creative head. So their wide range was what I want. I get to pick the songs, you know, and he will say, yeah or nay, well, that's a good song. You know, like I had charted a while back ago, Simple Pleasures, the Streisand. I love that song. I love the lyrics in it. So, and he said he never heard it. I said, yeah, she did in her Vegas concert in 2001 or 2000, whatever it is. Yeah, I have control, and but it took. I already had. Once again, life just comes together, and I already had charts. All I had to do was get those expanded, you know, for a larger orchestra. So, which wasn't as costly as it would be to start from scratch and have all those charts rearranged, because it's not cheap.
It costs a lot of money, folks.
Yeah, as you know, so that's a lot of money right there. So I don't know who's going to get that when I die, but somebody hopefully will be in their key and they could use them. So,
what would be the holy grail job for you? You know, the pandemic is going to disappear.
That's easy. To be working full time as an entertainer, singing, doing what I love doing. That's what I love doing. That's what I want to do. My passion is performing and singing. That's what I love. You know,
and of course, you know, this is it's great to be a solo artist. But I also love collaborating with other artists. I love it when I'm sharing the stage with other people. Who are some of, you know, with all due respect to all of the people that you've worked with, who are some of the people that you would, like, in a heartbeat, you'd say, I want to work with this person again?
Well, not again for a first time. Billy Stritch. Love Billy. You love Billy.
Who does not love Billy Stritch?
He's great. Oh, he's great. I'd love to do a duet with Streisand. I'd love to sing with Diahann Carroll. I mean, I was listening to earlier. I'd love to. There's a lot of people, you know, but I'm just a very small little, you know, part of.
No. You may think.
Well, yeah, I mean, part of a big picture. I mean, you know, people. You know, I'm not a big name. You know what I mean? I guess, and what I've done, yes. I mean, you know, I have some, some clout, but I mean, I'm not a big star, a celebrity, per se. So,
well, I want to ask you, I mean, because of what you do, there are so many places that you could gravitate towards. New York, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Atlantic City. Why Florida?
I don't know. I'm comfortable here. I've found this home. I've been here almost 30 years. The cruise ships brought me here. I left Chicago in 1991.
Is that why you ended up in Florida, because of the cruise ships?
Yeah, I started working in 1986 with the ships, and I kept thinking, why the hell am I flying from Chicago to Florida when it's freezing in the dead winter? I said, I'm just moving to Florida, because I was working steadily on ships, as a DJ, and then as a staff member, and then, as I said, the headliner came, years later. But so that's what brought me to Florida, and I don't know. I mean, I found my niche. I mean, I've worked in New York. I did on Broadway. I did a Steve Allen show, Seymour Glick is Alive and Sick.
I told you that I auditioned for that show.
Yeah.
I auditioned. I'll tell everyone. I went in. I auditioned for Steve Allen and my dear friend Julie. Julie Shepard. Wasn't she also in the show?
No, it was Margot and Andy and myself and.
Maybe it was another time, but I thought that she had done the show. But I went in and I auditioned for Steve Allen, and I said, Jane Meadows sent me. And before I even sang, he says, well, I'll send you back to her when you're
That's right.
And he was very complimentary. He was really wonderful. And, we would have known each other if I had gotten the show. But that was, what was it?
It would have been great if we were working together. Yeah.
One of the greatest songwriters that ever lived, Steve Allen. Great comedian. I still laugh at his skits and sketches that I used to watch. What was it like working for Steve Allen or working with Steve Allen?
Oh, he wasn't there with us.
Oh, he was?
No, he wasn't there with us. Yeah, it was the show was already set. No, he didn't. I would love to have met him. No, but he wasn't.
Wow. No, it was very funny. It was very funny. How long?
You encountered him, but I never encountered him. So yeah.
And
it was a fun.
Did you live in New York?
We got an equity card, so
mm-hmm.
we were doing all these over in New Jersey and I think in New York, all Broadway places, and but I got my equity card. So,
well, was that the show that you got your equity card with?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long did you stay in New York?
I think it was just a season,
mm-hmm.
there. That we were staying there. But I came back. But I mean, I come to New York often just to see shows and friends. So on purpose, just so in fact, I just got billed through TDF again for the regular season, So
you'll get
with me. So I said, well, they wrote me a nice little note, and I said, yeah. I said, thank you for the heads up, and I said, I'm looking forward to when Broadway comes back, and they sent me a note too. I said, yes, we are too. So
we all are. We all are. I have tickets to see The Music Man, but now it's moved to 2022. I was scheduled to go.
Friends of mine just said they got moved to December of 2022. I think it is. I want to see that too.
The official opening is February 10th of 2022.
Okay.
The night before my 61st birthday.
So maybe.
But I have my tickets. What was the first Broadway show that you saw?
Oh, that's a good question. It was when I was with the American Boy Choir. It was 1776 with Betty Buckley.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Yeah, out of all shows to see, but I guess they figured that was a history, lesson. And that was my first show that I saw. I believe the first film I ever saw was Babes in Toyland. I was trying to think of, and I remember seeing Hello, Dolly, too, when I was very young in a big theater. And I was overwhelmed by that.
Wow.
It's Streisand. I thought, wow, this is really something, I was so thrilled. In fact, I just watched it last week, actually. Yeah.
It's funny because, she gets short shrift for that movie, but I think that time has been very favorable to that film.
Oh,
when you look at it now, it holds up.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Barbara Streisand in any.
I know you love Carol, of course. Yeah, you do. But the history behind it is good because I watched some behind the scenes stuff on it, and which was good because I didn't realize, there was a lot of course, there's always things that go on, but good. I mean, Gene Kelly's directing was awesome. So
yes.
But I remember seeing that film, but I don't remember what my second show was, but I know it was I do know John Davidson, Music Man, in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
It was on tour. So I saw Music Man with John Davidson.
John Davidson is still going strong. I did an event with him last year. Hopefully I'll be doing an interview with him here. So because he's an incredible man. I want to ask you, you again are a great entertainer. I've enjoyed watching the clips and everything, preparing for this. But who do you enjoy watching? Who really, I mean, you've mentioned some of the names, but who really puts you on the edge of your seat when you're watching them perform?
Well, a year and a half ago, I saw Tony Bennett. I love Tony Bennett. Performed for 90 minutes or more, no water, song to song, back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I was just sitting up the whole time in my seat like, oh my God, this guy is awesome. And I love Tony Bennett. And he's still, I mean, he's got a little rasp, of course, but he still sounds great. He's a pro. Mm-hmm. His musicians were phenomenal. He's one. When I saw Streisand, my first, I got to see her at Madison Square, which I'm sure you went to. I paid $1,000 for that ticket. I've never done that in my life on my American Express card. But $500 went to the age proceeds because she was choosing different charities. So at least I knew half of that money was going to something good.
That's great.
But that night was phenomenal. I was like, I couldn't even sleep the night before. I was so excited. And I had a great seat to see her with that. Was it a 50-piece orchestra? Was it?
Yes. This was her first concert after 27 years, I think it was, since she had last performed in New York. And it was such an experience. And I mean, I remember we had 12 row center seats on the aisle. And it was just one of the most incredible. And I've since then, I've seen her about 7 times, I think, in concert.
I've seen her a couple more times, but I'll never forget that first time, like you, I'm sure. That was just a magical night. She sounded phenomenal. The sets, and just everything. The whole show was I was just in awe. So I was on the edge of my seat with that show. I don't think I leaned back at all. I sat up the whole time.
And going back in time, are there entertainers that you never saw live that you really wish that you had?
Oh, yeah, the Pat Rack. Yeah. Sammy and Dean and Frank and Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire and Donald O'Connor.
I had tickets to see Frank Sinatra and Shirley MacLaine. They were going to be at Radio City Music Hall. And the moment that I heard that they were going to be there, I bought the tickets.
Oh, my God.
The morning of the show, I was listening to WNEW radio here in New York, which doesn't exist anymore. And they announced that Frank Sinatra was in the hospital with pneumonia.
Oh.
And the show was canceled.
Oh.
And he never performed again.
Wow.
And I was so disappointed that I never got a chance to see Frank Sinatra perform live. Liza, many times. Shirley Bassey, many times. I mean, and as I said in my introduction, these great entertainers that just go and give and give and give and give. Who were some of your favorite songwriters that you enjoy performing their music?
Marilyn Allen Bergman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carol Baker Sager, Carpenters. Who I'm trying to think who. I try to do a nice variety in my show. I mean, I open up. One of my opener songs is "I Got the Music in Me," DVD, which is a mixture with it goes in a don't mean anything and got that swing and a big tap break, and so it gets the audience going, which is fun. And so I love doing things like that. I did a big number on the ships. I got the chorus girls involved. My good friend Charo, who works for Disney Cruise Line right now, she choreographed the number. What's the song? Back in business, that ain't it grand. Let the good times roll. We did a whole thing with the girl dancers. She threw it all in. It was awesome. This is on time, right? Yeah, it's on time. But yeah. And what was that
And
from?
who-
It was from
I'm sorry.
Back in Business. What was it from?
Back in Business.
His
What?
film. It's
Not Dick Tracy. Is it Dick Tracy?
Yeah, that's it. Dick
That's
Tracy.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Who is the most contemporary songwriter whose music you do?
Trying to think. Well, I've done Billy Joel. I've done Elton John. Trying to think, because I do a lot of standard stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as I said, the most recent is Simple Pleasures. I can't think of anything else right now that really stands out. But
Now I want to go back to where we began.
where did we begin?
With the pandemic. That's where we are. How are you keeping yourself creative at this time?
Well, as I said, yeah, put a studio up. So working on doing maybe some voiceover or maybe a podcast. Maybe I'll be a Richard Skipper now. or I've been recording a little bit, you know, doing some stuff just to practice and just getting the feel of it all. So and you know, putting it out there for, you know, I'm a public notary. I can marry people here in Florida. I can notarize. I have a singing telegram service. You know, I can still
Can
do.
you mix the two?
Pardon?
Can you mix the two?
I'm sure I could. Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Why not? Yeah, let's do it. Mix it up. Yeah. I've done shows via Zoom, Facebook Live. I've done that, you know, little bits here or there. Still done the telegrams too, as I said. I have done them live. You just knock on the door and stand 6 feet away or whatever and deliver the message or whatever, you know. So.
And how are your days structured? What's a typical day like for you, or is there such a thing in your life as a typical day?
Oh yeah. I'm a morning person, so I'm up early. I'm usually either work out, take a spin class, or I bike today. I biked 15 miles this morning. You know, maybe take a swim. You know, make some business calls, whatever you know do. You know, whatever meetings or Zoom I have. Sometimes I work for a friend of mine who has an insurance company called Normandy, and I've been doing some with her company. They have people all over the U.S. So we're doing bingos. So I'm running bingo. So it's fun, you know, wearing different hats, you know, each game, calling off the numbers like they did on the ships and stuff, make it fun, you know, and festive for the group. So they like it. So they're catching on, and then they start wearing hats, you know, and stuff. So, you know, it's just extra little things, you know, we do.
Now, I don't want to go too deep with this next question that I'm going to ask you, but just putting it out there. And again, we don't have to go too deep with this. But are you political? Are you following what's going on?
Oh, yeah, I do follow, but I don't post a lot of it because it's ruined too many people and relationships and friendships and family and stuff. So, yeah, I am. Yeah, and I do follow.
Are you a news junkie?
Pardon?
Are you a news junkie? Are you screaming?
No, I watch the lighter news in the morning, like Good Morning America or something, and that's about. I'll be watching the debate tonight, of course, to see who gets cut off first. Yeah, I just don't post a lot of that, so I just try to keep my stuff is more light and airy and fun, you know, and try to, you know.
And again, without taking a political side, because this is where we are right now. I want you to speak to everyone who's watching now about why, for you personally, why it is important to get out there and vote. Regardless of what side you're on, to make that statement to everyone. But
it's a privilege. I mean, you know, it's like driving, you know, I mean, if you don't vote, you can't complain about anything. You know, there's no way. So everybody needs your vote. Carry your voting forward, just get out there and vote. Use your best judgment. Do your research, because I did do that. Before I went and voted, I did my research.
Oh, you've already voted.
Pardon?
You've already voted.
I voted early, yeah.
I voted last week as well. So
I voted early, yeah. Yeah, I did it, and the lines aren't long at all. So you can get in and out of there, but do your research, you know, talk to your friends if you have to or whatever. You know, use your right. You know, it really is a privilege to vote, and we should all take advantage of that. I mean, it really means a lot. And I even called the next day to make sure my vote counted. I wanted to make sure, because I checked online and I couldn't find it. So I called. I spoke to somebody live, and they were able to look it up for me. So
Well, Peter, I want to say, just in the short time that I've known you, I really admire your work. I've watched the.
I admire you too. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for doing the work that you've done. And hopefully you'll be on the boards sooner rather than later. I can't believe this, but we are at...
I'm getting all the time.
And but before we go, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you. I know, as Rachel says, you could be anywhere else, but you chose an hour with Peter and myself.
Yeah.
I always tell everyone, if you enjoyed today's show, please go to my website, which is richardskipper.com. Put your thoughts about the show. That helps to boost me in other markets. I also tell everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return.
Amen.
After this show is over, go to your Facebook friends list, and the fourth friend, today's a four, go to the fourth friend.
They like New York at 4.
Reach out to them and just say, I'm just reaching out to say I'm thinking of you. How are you? Let's talk soon. And really reach out to these people, because as my dear friend David Friedman says, we're all in this together. We're just not in the same boat. And it's
maybe rocking.
it's a difficult time for everybody. So I'm going to give you the final word in today's show. Anything you want to say to anyone who's listening about anything that's on your mind, if there was any area that we didn't cover, now's a chance to talk about that as well. But the stage is yours, Peter Vincent.
No, I just want to thank you, Richard, for having me. This has been really fun. Great interview, and you are so good with the people that you interview. So I really appreciate what you do, and it makes a difference. So, and all I gotta say is, I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to stay so long.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Bye.